everyone, what's up? Had a bit going on just over the past month, so I haven't had a chance to edit anything. I've recorded some stuff, some of it's been good, some of it's not been as good, so we're going to film a little quick video for you now about my soldering bag. It's not 100% ready, there's a few, like 2 or 3 items more that I wanted. However, it's ready enough where we can film something, you can watch it, tell me what you think, give me some feedback, and if you use this equipment, obviously, you know, what do you think of the choices, and if you disagree with some of the stuff, you know, let us know. But this is how I've set up my soldering bag. So yeah, without further ado, we'll take a look. Right, just to start off with, this is a so-called turbo bag. I'm not sure if that's the technical name for it, but it's manufactured by Today's Tools. You can see it written on the other side. So it's not like a £100 Gucci, you know, tool handbag. It's just the £12 one, because you know, I ain't got money for all that sweet Vito gear. It'd be interesting to see if I get a Vito one after this, in the very distant future, I might add, if I get a Vito one after this, and see if it's so much better for costing 100 or 1000% more. But we'll get into it in a sec. The torch is nothing fancy, it's a Rothenberger 2, it's what everyone uses. I'm just going to use this until it breaks. It's the flame on it is a little bit, it's not as tight as it could be. You can sort of see that against the bag. Starts to sort of, the tip isn't very fine, it's starting to just go all over the place, so it's not too bad, but the ignition in it's still good. The only possible modification I was going to make, because of how I've rejigged the bag recently, was to have this on like a cord. So you screw that in and it's on like a rubber thing, and then you have another fitting that you screw onto the bottle, and so that you don't have the weight of this. If you're working in a confined space like a kitchen cupboard or a loft or somewhere like that, you can have the bag nearby and have like a metre long thing, and you just literally pull it out and do it. The only detractor from that is that this bag's quite good. So this has just been really hot, yeah, so you wouldn't want to put this down on carpet or anything like that. And you put it in there, and it's upright, it can't fall over unless you really try and tip this bag over. It's quite bottom heavy, and that is in part on purpose, so that it doesn't tip over and you burn something. The vertical storage style of this bag really lends itself well to that. So yeah, so I've got that in here. I know you can get the NORAD one that has the tip that doesn't burn people's carpets, but like I say, when that torch goes, it'll be when I decide what one I upgrade to. I've got a spare bottle of gas. There's nothing worse than running out in the middle of the night after the supplies are closed and not being able to finish your work. We've got a rag here. This is just like a ultra grind wipe. It's actually one of these. And obviously you could use this and then just throw it away, but I keep it and then just rinse it again and use it, so I'm not wasting the earth's resources. This is cotton, so you can wash it. They're quite good wipes, and like I say, you know, for wetting stuff it's not too bad. And we've also got an old fire blanket in here. This isn't really a heat mat, this is an actual fire blanket, and the reason why I keep it is if I'm working somewhere with you know, like a plastic sink or somewhere where there is something that I really don't want to burn over like a wide area, I can spread this puppy out, and then any hot drips of solder won't, you know, melt, say, into the vinyl floor or anything like that. You can unroll this thing. It's rubberized as well. Not all of them are like it. A lot of them are like just bare fiberglass, and that will stick into your hands like the loft insulation does and wreck you. But this rubberized one's pretty decent, and it's actually like a pretty good sheet if you just want something, you know, to put down so that you're not scuffing up the floor. But it also has the added advantage of that you can throw it over a flame. And you'll find a lot of places like schools or other commercial premises, they have to throw these out after a while, just because the expiry date on them is no good. Or after a certain amount of time they just chuck them out. Well, there's nothing to stop you from picking one up at that point and putting it in your soldering bag. I've got one of these mats as well. These are quite good. The one in the hole, with the hole in the middle, is a little bit better, just because you can put it around pipes and stuff. Yeah, that's a little bit self-explanatory, but you know, these are good. I've got also, you know, the cement board type stuff here. That's alright. I tend to have a smaller piece of this because this breaks like nobody's business, so you want just a little small piece because otherwise it will break, and that lives in the little elastic thing in there, so that gets tucked in there and that's broken off, so it's just the right size to fit in there. And then in here as well, I've got a little scouring pad. I've got quite a few different abrasive cleaners in here, so you know, it's just having a few different options depending on what you're working on. If you just want to rub the pipe work down, that's what I tend to use this pad for. And if I want something a bit more vigorous, then I've got these three on the side here. I've got my pipe cleaner, that fits quite well in there. That does all the sizes, quite good for fittings. This one's a bit worn out, so I need to get another one, but apart from that's quite good. Then I've got some sort of finer cloth here. I don't know what this stuff is actually called. It's like, you see a lot of woodworkers and sanders use it. Yeah, no, it's gone. I don't know what that's called. And then this is sandpaper, but it's actually aluminium paper. This is for a belt sander. You can buy this on like a 50-meter reel, and it's cloth backed, so it's good even when it's wet. You don't have like it with that horrible emery tape type shit where you start using it and all the little grains start to come off when it gets wet. This will perform wet and dry, and it lasts a bit longer, and it's just nicer, and I think it's better on the paint and all the other stuff. And yeah, so that's about it for abrasives. Obviously you can burn the paint off with the torch. Not really too much else to talk about. Obviously I've got my guides for my bender in here that go in these vertical pockets quite nicely. I've got the pipe swager here. Now, I bought the one that does two different sizes because then I only need one and I'm not carrying two different ones, so that's the one to get. Monument, you want to kind of keep these clean. I usually sand these down if I know I'm going to be using it. Just with the abrasives here, I'll get a bit of that and just whiz it around just to keep the rust off. And I learnt this from CB on Instagram. He also did a post where he's saying you put flux on the swager before you put it in, and oh my god, that's changed my world and saved me so much time. This went from a tool that I'll probably never use to being like a viable option, you know, of like actually doing it in the real world and being able to do it under time constraints. You can actually get that in there, whack it in, and actually be able to pull it out quite easily. So that's the solution to that. And then I've got the Milwaukee pipe cutter in here. You don't really need this if you're going to be doing a lot of pipe work with boilers and cylinder cupboards and all the rest of it. It is good. This does all three sizes. There is a little bit of a knack to using it. You have to sort of hold it just right and all the rest of it, and you have to remember what setting you're on here, because you've got this one which turns it like that, and then you have to flick the switch back to reset it before you can do another cut. And then also, like, you can sort of see through there to line up your cut if you're trying to do accurate measuring in that. And if I practice with it enough, which I'm going to try and do, I'm sure I could get good enough with it where I'm as accurate with it as a pipe slice. There's no technical reason why not. It's just the size of it, and you know, it's just a different tool. It's a bit more weighty, and it's not as immediately to go from using a normal pipe slice to using this. You're not going to be as good with this straight away. You're going to need to practice a little bit, but it's got a little torch on it as well, lights up. So that was a nice feature they put in. Batteries wise, I run it with the 2 ampere hour in there, and that's all I bother with, because I've got my impact driver on my hip, which also has another spare battery for this, so I can go backwards and forwards between the two, and that's fairly interchangeable. I've never really run this flat, but saying that, I probably don't use this to its like maximum, if you want. Like, I don't do enough pipe work really to justify having this. It's just because it was on sale in January and it was a good deal, so I picked it up. For stowage, I just keep it locked in the centre position. If I can, well, there is no centre position. Oh yeah, there is. So that is locked in the centre. It's kind of hard to tell on the camera which way it is, but there's like a central notch, and that means that it will not run, so it won't come on in the van. But that is what it is. Long-term durability wise, I haven't seen how this will hold up over time and how much maintenance is required to keep this complex mechanism going. Obviously it does all three pipe sizes, so it is a little bit more complex. I try and keep it face down in there, and another important part of this is I'm going to have to keep this pocket at least hoovered out and clean, so that it's not catching dust in the mechanical bit here. A lot of people store it like that, and in here it's a lot looser, which isn't very good. But then also any sawdust or anything else is just going to go straight into the critical piece there. So that's why I keep it like that. And it does go off at an angle, but when this has got everything else in it, it's quite good, and it helps to weight the bag down a bit. And then I've got in here just some pencils. Don't need to explain what they're for. And then in here we've got, I used to have PTFE tape in here, but I found I could carry more tape if I got these little Loctite dental floss type ones, and that just pulls through there, and you just pull it off there, and you wrap it around a rad tail as you normally would. You don't need as much of this, and this is like 10 meters or so. I'm not exactly sure how much it is. There's another one as well in the little elastic keeper there, so you can carry quite a lot of this size wise versus PTFE. It's literally 50 meters, 50 meters. So with those two full, I've got 100 meters of PTF or threading string, and to have 100 meters of PTFE, I'm sure I'd need like a full pack. So size wise, that keeps the bulk down on this. I've got a Monument it's the pipe deburring tool. You just got that triangular piece in there, that'll do all three sizes. In, clean it out, and then in with the pipe swager. And then I have every size cutter that I would conceivably need. I've got the NORAD ones, because so far they seem to be not so much the best, but the least shit out of all of them. Apart from the 28mm one. That one's 22. So you've got the 22, you've got the 15. You've got the 10mm one, that saves you a lot of time if you're doing micro bore radiators. Very useful. And then I have the 28mm cutter, is this Copex one, and it's actually made of plastic. It looks like metal, but it's like a nylon, glass nylon design, so it's really lightweight, and it's just a decent weight saving to have. And also I've got loads of cutters, cutting discs for the Copex left over from previous cutters and spares I picked up for them before I upgraded to these, which are better, just because they're thinner and easier to get into tight spaces. And there's a 10mm one, and all of these blades are different from those blades. So if you're going to upgrade to these, you may as well make all of these then, and then obviously you still have the old pipe cutters lying around, so it makes sense to have the old style one here, which is lighter than the 28mm version of this. And then you can still use all your old spare wheels, and then once those get exhausted, I might take the weight penalty and buy a 28mm one of these in the NORAD type. So that's a little bit of why that's in there. I keep saying so you'll have to take a drink every time I do that. And also there's a lot of nooks and crannies in here where you can poke spare pipe. As I've gone on, I seem to have less and less spare pipe, which I hope is a good thing, because it means I'm getting better theoretically. But you know how you start and you're soldering and all that, and you usually have a big carrier bag with copper in. Well, I just tend to use it all up until I have pieces of this piece long, so I'm actually running short. But if you do have a spare bit, you just tuck it in there vertical. And I've got some actually, I've got a bit of 22 in there, but if it's longer, there's no reason why you can't tuck it down inside there, because these pockets here run the full length, and then you've got the elastic to keep it in. I've got an ox tape measure here. I try and keep a tape measure with this bag, just because they go missing so much. This one's nice and wide, and it's easy to read numbers, and it's in green rather than yellow. And I just find this one easier to work with when I'm measuring pipe, because the numbers are bigger. If you're holding a pipe at arm's length, they're just a bit easier to read for myself. It's not a major time penalty thing, I just think it makes me slightly quicker. And you've got the hooks either side, so you can hook a piece of pipe like that over the top and read it against it rather than having it underneath like that. There's no reason to have it, over the top or underneath. It's just your preference, but I think having it so it blocks out the numbers on the top, like so, is easier than having it underneath, if that makes any sense. Obviously, if you put it in the middle, it'll go straight through, but if you have it like that, it's easier to see where that ends, so to speak. I don't know, it's just a little thing I noticed. And then I've got rolls of solder in here. I've just got 2 in here at the moment, but I could fit a couple more in the bag if I wanted to. I try and set this up so that it's got loads of everything, so I don't just run out of something in the middle of the job. I like to keep this quite well stocked. And then if you're working with someone and they're not a pest, you can always say, oh, do you want some solder? Use my roll of solder too. You go and buy your own, and then you can give me my roll of solder back, or whatever. It depends if you're working as part of a big company. I imagine you will share resources, but I'm on my own most of the time. Got blue roll as well as the handy dandy rag, for wiping stuff. And then I've got this thing. I don't know if this is any faster, or any better, like this tool-wise, than using just a brush and a pot of flux, but the pot of flux tends to be really big, and it was taking a lot of room up in the centre, which meant that I couldn't, potentially I could carry 3 gas bottles in this thing. And with the pot of flux, you're only really going to manage to carry 1 in the torch in there, and then you're going to have to put another gas bottle in one of these outer pockets, which you can do, it will fit. Like that will go in there, no problem. But I need the space because I've just picked this up, so you can see how it's a juggling act. So I went over to this to save some space, and it does do that. It is a smaller solution, and also it means that you don't have all the dust and shit getting in here because it's all sealed. But brush-wise, I think what I'm going to end up doing, and I haven't done it yet, is I'm probably going to get one of my old brushes back out of the van, and then I'll probably tuck it in the elastic here so I've got it, because you can't always use this in, like 99% of the time you can get this over the pipe and flux it and do it. And for the other 1% you have got this brush which I've managed to incinerate a little bit, just wiping joints and whatever. And I'm trying to make myself solder now so I don't wipe the joint with the brush, but still have it neat. So that's sort of like a mini challenge for myself, which I've enjoyed doing, to be honest, because it has made me better. But the most compelling thing about that is that the flux itself isn't acidic, so it's not burning and drying out your hands, it's not unpleasant to touch, it doesn't have that horrible smell that makes you cough. That's the main thing, and I think if it's not making me cough and sputter, it's probably not damaging my lungs. So that was the main appeal of it for me. If they sold this flux in just a regular tub, and you used a brush on it, I think I would still buy that one just because it's better. But the fact that it's in this tool, the actual fluctuator thing is almost a sideshow, because the flux is the best part of the system, that you're not coughing and spluttering, you're not putting acids into your radiators and causing them to corrode. And then I've got a couple of refills in here. I probably could carry a few more, but I've just got 2 for now, because you have to order them online. And I'm kind of again, I don't want to run out halfway through a job, especially with this, because then you can't get another one. Nobody seems to stock them anymore because they're not in fashion now. They were when they came out, but not anymore. So yes, and well, that's it really. That's the only other thing. I've got odd bits of pipe in the little pockets here. That's really too short to be of any good to anybody, but they're in there and I've got them in case I need them. And then in one of these pockets I've got some caps. I should have some caps for some radiators. I usually try and keep some in there. I've got some 1/2-inch ones with the little washers in, so you can put them on the valves and just make them on, and stop the valves from weeping when you drive off. And that's about it really. So that's how I set up my soldering bag, and a little bit about why I've got what I've got in it. And now you can watch me either sped up or in real time. I haven't decided yet. Put it all back. Let's see if I remember where it all goes. Sure I will, he says. Start with these first. That goes in there. That goes in there. That goes in there. That goes in there. These are the ones I use most often, so that's why I remember where they go. Like I say, you could put other things in here and set it up differently. This is just how I do it, because the abrasives are what you're going to use first of all, so they're on the outside where you can easily get to them, and then you've got a choice here of what you can use. And for the most part they stay in the bag. This pocket's a little bit looser now, so this might start coming out, but it might be that I just swap it over to another pocket that's a bit tighter. Then I've got to get used to it being like that, so I've not decided. I'll have that in there, like that on that side. You'll have to shout at the screen if I put it back in the wrong place, and then I'll know to tell myself off. And that can go in there. Or not, because that's conflicting with that. And usually when you're working you don't have everything out at once, I usually put it back in the bag so I know where my stuff is. Yeah, no, that can't go in there, can it? Needs to be something flat, like that. That can go in there quite happily. And that can go in there. Solder is in there. No, it's in there, so that's where all the cutters go. Cutters, cutters, cutters. Yeah, maybe I have that round on that side. That makes more sense, because then my hand's free to get into there. Yeah, that feels better. And that can go in there. That can go on that side. Don't know if there's anything else in this pocket. Oh yeah, there is. There's more. In the bottom of this one, there's more caps and valves and other things. There's like a little self-cutter for draining down those troublesome systems and another drainer. So that's where they are. I'm not sure why I have two of these, but I guess I'll figure it out. The blue roll went in there, so obviously that's not going to fly out in the first 5 seconds, and then that went in there, that goes in there, and that goes. I tend to fold it in a little napkin shape like that. Push that into there. It's a little bit harder to do when the mats are new. And that goes around there. Into there, and like I say, this can be replaced with a third gas bottle, and I might put this somewhere else, I might not put it in this bag at all, but it's in there for now. Because another disadvantage of this is if you say you had 3 gas bottles in there and you use one and throw it away, then the other 2 are doing this. You know, they're able to move. I'll have that too, I can do that and rattle, and that's the only disadvantage I found to this system. But you could probably make it work by folding this differently if you had to, the heat mat, or again having another thing in here. But it's got quite a small footprint, and yet you've got access to everything. So if I wanted that, grab that. If I want that, grab that. Like, there's no one thing. I don't have to pull something else out to get to something else apart from the pipe slicers in here. And that's about it really. It's just the pipe slices that aren't efficiently stored. And yeah, it's got these little hook things here, so they're quite good. I usually hang it in the van, or I place it on the floor of the van, but it's got a little hook so that it's both on the floor and then this bit's hooked, and it just stops it from tipping over in the van. But you have to really try to make this tip over. You have to get it almost to the point where it's on its side already, and then even then not everything's spilling out straight away, although I wouldn't keep it like that. I would keep it like that, obviously, because you've got to store your bottles upright. And I know a lot of people say, oh, you should unscrew your torch before you transport it, and well, I'm not called Mr. Safety, am I? You know, I'm not saying that you should have it like this. You know, if you want to unscrew this lamp, you can, or torch I should say, you can, and then just put it somewhere else. I'm not stopping you from doing that. You take whatever precaution you want. Anyway, I'll put that on there. And yes, so that is my setup. I hope you enjoyed that, and once I have the time, I will edit more videos of jobs and things, but I thought I'd make this because I knew I could sort of do it in one take. Obviously barring all the arms, and just generally have something for you guys to watch. There are a few other things I want in here. I want the Loctite 577 in here, you know, the fluid for making up the radiators instead of using this. There's another one and it's in a little squeezy bottle. That would be really good because it means I can make up radiators faster, and then for things like posh bathrooms where you don't want PTFE showing, it's ideal. And then the only other thing, and I don't know where I would put it yet, but there are these attachments that go on the end of an impact driver for cleaning pipe. So I like that. I think somebody on Instagram makes them, but I need to research it. So I'll probably do a sequel video to this, but it's basically like that in there, but it's just a little round thing that goes on the end of your impact, and that'll be really good for me because this is on me at all times. So if I've got a pipe end that's sticking out of a wall, I can literally grab the thing out of there, pop it on the end, blast, and then, you know, put this back wherever it's got to go and carry on, and then I'll put my screwdriver back. I'm just sort of thinking how I would do it if I had to do it that way. I might keep them in there because that's the only other pocket that's left really, but then I'd have to take the tape measure out to reach them, and this pocket's kind of hard to get into. Oh, another thing, if you've got too much room in here, you can turn the tape measure around and fit it so that this piece is on the inside. I haven't had too much bother with this coming off because it's quite a tight fit. But if you're worried about that coming off, you could, and then just have two gas bottles in there and have this tape measure wedging it all up. And I tend to keep the torch facing in like that because if it's facing out like that, it'll get hooked on something. You can see that will snag, but if it's in there like that, you know, you can still pick up the bag, it's not going to get in the way. Just go from there. And that is my soldering system, and then my fittings are in a waterproof tub, so I just carry those two things into the job and I can pretty much rock and roll. Let us know if you think there's anything missing, and take care, and or let us know if there's something that you use that would speed up or be better than some of the equipment in here, or just generally just give us a little bit of feedback if you want. If you obviously know, if you do soldering for, you know, do plumbing for a living, if you don't know anything about soldering, what you say is going to be fairly meaningless, but I will respond to all my comments as always. I keep trying to keep up with them. We will reach a singularity where it won't be physically possible anymore, but that's a long way off, to be honest, so I'll keep up with them for now, and yeah, I'll be interested to see other people's insight. And someone's ringing me, so that's the end.